Hey, it's Tara. So, in my practice, I focus a lot on personal responsibility. So, while we work on helping your nervous system regulate in session, which you need another nervous system to template off of, and while that is the first and foundational thing that we do to decrease your symptoms and increase your resilience, personal responsibility is also a big part of what we do, because if somebody really doesn't want to get better, there's nothing that I can do to make them get better. So people have to be prepared and ready to take an active role in their own health, in their own mental health, emotional health, in their physical health, in their relationships. This is all part of it because we're working with a whole person holistically in their whole life. So we're dealing with everything. We're not just sitting there focusing and talking about symptoms, because we know that doesn't work. So one of the things that comes up all the time is how people really sabotage themselves before they even get started. And you can see that in the language that you use with yourself as you are monitoring or becoming aware of the language that you're using to describe things to other people and the language you use to talk to yourself. You can see how you're really setting yourself up to fail in the first place. Now, we see people do this with diet plans all the time when they want to lose weight or they want to become healthier. They'll look at a program that has a ton of science behind it, that's highly effective, that would work. And they look at it and they go, oh, I can't, I could never, which is, I mean, it's categorically untrue. I could never. But this is what people say. And then they wonder why it doesn't work. I could never go without this kind of carbohydrate. I could never go low protein or low fat or low carb. I could never give up dairy. I could never give up bacon. I could never give up my glass of wine. You actually can, and you will survive giving up any of those things. Really, the truth of that is uncomfortable, which is I am not willing to give up bread. I'm not willing to give up cheese. I'm not willing to give up alcohol. Whatever it is, it's not that you can't, it's that you won't. And what's scary about that is when you say it that way, when you say it the true way, which is I won't, you're basically choosing the alternative, which is if this is what's going to get me healthy and at a healthy weight, then I am choosing not to. And that's an uncomfortable truth. And we see this in mental health all the time because people get attached to their current state and they want the change of state. They want an alternative to be easy. They want it to be something that is effortless or something that fits into their idea of what they're able to do. And the truth of that is it's not what they're able to do, it's what they're willing to do. So we see this in therapy all the time where people say, well, I can't meditate. I can't exercise every day. I can't follow this nutritional program. I can't take these supplements. I can't. All of those are scientifically untrue. Absolutely 100% untrue. If you change the vocabulary, then what's underneath that is uncomfortable because it's shame. Because what you're saying is, I acknowledge that I won't, that I don't want to be healthy enough. The desire to be healthy is not stronger than my desire to stay the same. And so if I'm addicted to victim mentality, then I have to acknowledge that I'm choosing to stay in this state of symptoms that I'm uncomfortable with or that are holding me back in my life. And when that's a choice, then it's uncomfortable because then we have to work through the guilt and shame of really acknowledging that and looking at, here's what we can do. I can help you regulate your nervous system. And if I do that, these other things that I'm asking you to do in your life are going to become easier. But in the beginning, it's not going to be easy. In the beginning, it's going to stir stuff up and it's going to feel uncomfortable. Let's talk about what it would be like if you weren't a victim of whatever your symptoms or your disease label are. Let's talk about who else you are if you're not owning a disease, if you're not owning a pathology, if you're not owning anxiety or depression or negativity or bitterness or whatever it is. Once we start regulating your nervous system, these are the questions that are available to you, which is, let's pause this for a moment. Let's come out of the guilt and the shame of being addicted to being a victim, which any of us can get stuck in. And let's fast forward out of this. What would your life be like if you weren't? What would your life be like if you had already gone through the tough work, if you had done everything that was asked of you, if you had adopted a healthy lifestyle and done all this work in session, and we did all of this together? What's on the other end of that? If you no longer had these symptoms, and people look at how limited they are even in their goals for their own life, how small the goals have become, because on the other side of the fear and the addiction and the lack of comfort, this is not supposed to be comfortable, is a bigger life than that they ever imagined, which actually can be really activating. So let's talk about that. Let's get you comfortable with what life could look like for you in its fullest potential, because you might have been too afraid to ever entertain that idea. And then we're going to look at regulating your nervous system, healing, moving through things in a non-overwhelming way, and letting go of old sabotaging mentalities and thoughts. We're going to take I can't out of the way. We're going to take ownership of symptoms out of the way. So you don't come into session, you say my anxiety. You say, I experienced some anxiety this week, today, and it was like this. And then we're going to work through it. There's modifications in how you talk, in how you think, in how you move, in how you breathe, in what you eat, in how you supplement your own physical health, because the mind and body are so interconnected. You can't treat one without the other. It's all part of the whole package. But everybody runs into roadblocks of where they've limited themselves, and this is part of what we work at. And so it's a great question to ask yourself. Anytime you say I can't, is it I can't or is it I won't? And anytime you feel like you can't reach the success that other people have reached, or the level of health or the lack of disease that other people have reached, why is that? What are you afraid of? What else have you got? Let's look at what's on the other side of fear and discomfort and self-sabotage, so that you actually have a chance of reaching and living that kind of life fearlessly. And it's possible for all of us. So ask yourself the question, look at where you might be addicted to limitations and self-sabotage in every part of your life, and start changing the words that you use, because they will start changing your mind, which will help you in this process as we do this kind of work together. So I hope that helps. Check it out. Let me know what your discoveries are. And until next time, I hope you're well.